Even the mob needs decent tradesmen. It makes sense, but still sounds funny. Gangland mechanics are out there, wielding grinders, not guns. Welders, not weapons. And even though just hired hands, they now stand in court as gangsters, facing the full force of the law, including life in prison. The mob reporter here with news of 3 transnational organized crime syndicates that each found an unusual way to utilize blue-collar skills to move white powder, with all roads from Britain, Colombia, Spain, Switzerland, and the Middle East leading to Australia to fill their red-hot demand. It's red, white, and blue. Let me tell you about it. When police in Australia moved to shut this syndicate down, the alleged gangsters didn't go quietly. As tactical police officers were moving in on a property in rural Cotter, southwest of Sydney, where the shipment was allegedly unpacked, suspects left in 2 vehicles, a Mercedes van and a Pantech truck. A police helicopter tracked them, and cops on the ground set up a roadblock.
Yeah, from Hotel, looks like they got the driver out.
This is video of the takedown from the air. Police say the driver of the truck thought he was loaded down with bricks of coke and rammed several cop cars trying to smash through the roadblock. After a short chase, both vehicles were stopped. The bricks they had, however, had already been replaced by police, likely back in England. At stake, police said, was 125 kilos of coke that was carefully concealed in a purpose-built space at the base of an industrial diesel generator before being shipped by air from London's Heathrow Airport into Sydney, Australia. The machinery is massive. I'd love to see the bill for that delivery. This was all announced July 20th, 2022. For this one, Aussie cops hooked up with colleagues in Britain, the National Crime Agency, known as NCA, and the UK Border Force. The probe started in the UK based on information culled from a big sting, when the FBI and Australian police convinced criminals to use the Anom encrypted phone app. Around the same time as the argy-bargy on the highway, police in England were also on the move. Here's video of some of the arrests in Britain from an officer's body-worn camera.
Right, NCA, step out of the vehicle. Right, this time you're under arrest for conspiracy to export Class A. Put your hands behind your back. You don't have to say anything but may harm your defence if you don't mention when questioned, something which will later rely in court, and anything you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand that?
NCA officers executed search warrants around southeast England. 3 men were arrested there. British police allege they are rare gangland specialists, part of an underworld network of skilled manufacturing tradesmen who create unusual and sophisticated hiding spots for contraband inside machinery for other crime groups. Police say they found a second diesel generator in a building in South Ockenden, Essex, just outside Greater London. It had a similar hidden cavity, this one empty. The least surprising part of this transnational plot was that dope was headed to Australia. Drugs are in high demand down under and command a premium price. Perhaps the most surprising part is where they came from. Britain is usually the final destination for shipments that make it out of South America and into continental Europe. Getting it into Britain already means added costs and risks from additional border crossings. So Britain is an unexpected source to send drugs to Australia, and that's probably what the narcos were banking on to avoid police scrutiny. But as high as the price and demand are in Britain, consider this. The street value of this shipment was estimated by police in Britain to be about 24 million US dollars. Police in Australia, meanwhile, said the same load had a street value there of 35 million US dollars. That's an $11 million jump in value between Britain and Australia. Gangsters can do math and also weld. This case is remarkably reminiscent of a 2020 case. At that time, an X-ray at the border of a large excavator arriving in Australia from England revealed anomalies within the arm of the industrial digger. Cutting through the metal, border agents found 450 kilos of MDMA inside. In a separate case, work crews with a different skill set were part of an even larger transnational criminal network. It was overseen by Colombians. Colombia is the main source for the world's coke, so direct involvement of Colombian narcos is significant. Police say a custom clandestine laboratory was built in rural Australia to extract and produce saleable powdered coke from liquid substances. The liquid base was imported into Australia, suspended in another unidentified substance. From Sydney, it was moved north to a clandestine lab hidden in a shed off the beaten path in Durong in Queensland. Durong has a population of just a few hundred people. 9 people were pinched in this probe in 3 different Australian states, officials announced on July 22, 2022. Included in that are 2 men allegedly caught at the lab. Now this pair was the key to it all. They were both originally from Colombia, and police said they were the chemical specialists. One of the men was a dual Spanish-Colombian citizen. This 48-year-old flew to Australia and was met at the airport by a Colombian-born resident of Sydney, who was 38. The younger Colombian man wasn't the best partner in the end. Investigators say he was already known to police, and his involvement attracted attention and was the trigger for the whole probe. The Colombian pair traveled north, a 10-hour drive, to the Gold Coast to meet a man who allegedly organized the construction of the clandestine lab. Officers also raided the home of a man in Darwin. That's almost clear across the country, about 2,500 miles from Sydney. A 33-year-old man was arrested there, and at his home police seized stacks of cash, electronic devices, and a 25-foot-long boat. Investigators are now looking into whether the boat was used to collect illicit cargo that was dumped at sea off the coast. One 33-year-old man was arrested after being stopped driving back to Sydney from the area of the lab. Police found 11 kilos of coke in his SUV, concealed in 2 small bar fridges. And a 32-year-old woman was arrested in her home in Brisbane, where police seized more than $1 million in cash. And then there was an alleged transnational syndicate operating out of Perth, on Australia's west coast. Police there found 66 kilos of coke hidden in 4 Mercedes-Benz performance car tires imported into Australia by air from Switzerland. An X-ray of the tires revealed something weird, and white packages were found behind the rims. Officers pulled out the coke, repacked the tires with the harmless substance, and sent them on their way. The tires sat in a garage for 2 days with police watching, before a man and a woman who lived there arrived with 2 other men, who then allegedly used several tools and knives to cut away the tires to reveal the black-wrapped packages. Those 4 were arrested on July 8, 2022. A few days later, police announced a coda to the operation. A father and son from Sydney, who police said have links to Middle Eastern organized crime, were arrested and charged in the tire plot. 53-year-old Pops and 25-year-old Sonny arrived from Sydney to collect the packages that had been pulled out of the tires at that home. After leaving with bags in a box, Pops and Sonny stopped at a hotel. They allegedly tested one of the bricks and must have realized they were fake. Just imagine their panic, perhaps wondering if it was an underworld rip or a police sting. They quickly dumped all the bricks from the tires in an industrial waste bin at a shopping center parking lot, and as they left the lot were swarmed by cops. This is where the rubber really hit the road. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.